There's a material that's hidden in our environment everywhere. It's all over our homes and our workplaces. It's there when we're sleeping, eating, relaxing, shopping, and even when we're on the loo. We see it nearly every day, but chances are you never think about it. And what's more, it's not even real. Have you figured out what it is yet? I'm talking about fake marble, or faux marble if you're fancy and like French. In this video, I'm going to ask, how did this motif become so popular?
I love this because this is a fantastic copy of the real thing.
Glittery, shiny, beautiful things.
Where did it come from?
They would have needed to prepare their own pigments.
And what does our obsession with something fake say about us? My journey will take me across the globe and reveal some surprising stories from history about how we've become obsessed with marble and why we love faking it. This is the story about how fake marble took over the world.
It's more convenient to go this way. House is full of secret passages and doorways. Yes.
I'm in Munich at the former residence of the Dukes of Bavaria. This spectacular palace complex is now a museum.
Right.
Fantastic. This is the Rijkenkapelle, also known as the Ornate Chapel. It was consecrated in 1607 and was built as a private place of worship for Duke Maximilian I and his wife, and also as a place for him to keep his holy relics. This magnificent floor below me is all real marble, but incredibly, the walls around me are entirely fake. You wouldn't think it from looking at them, but these walls are not real stone. They're made from Scagliola, a technique that was invented in the late 16th century. Scagliola is made from mixing a gypsum plaster powder with water, glue, and pigments to form a paste. It's then pressed or beaten into molds where it dries into the desired shape. Once dried, Scagliola can be cut and polished just like real marble, and worked to a very high glossy sheen that looks almost identical to the real thing. Dukes of Bavaria and their dynasties set the fashion for this luxury material that would take Europe by storm. Over the 17th and 18th centuries, Scagliola was used to make fake marble columns, decorate cabinets, altars, floors, tables, and just about anything else you could think of. It was essentially the first composite material, and we still make versions of it today, but out of plastics and other synthetic materials. But here in the Rijkenkapelle, I can't help but feel like there's some tension in this space. This chapel was built not only as a place of private worship, but also to house the Duke's personal collection of holy relics. Now, these relics were things like the bones of saints or things that they had touched. For Christians, relics are supposed to be an experience of the real and tangible presence of holiness. But this space that the Duke built to house these precious and sacred objects is, for the most part, largely artificial. The invention of the most convincingly realistic fake marble to date raises an important question. How far will we go to imitate nature? And what happens if we succeed? But hold on a second, you might be thinking, is it really that deep? Isn't fake marble just a cheaper alternative to real marble?
Stones are sourced from all over the world, Italy, Brazil, Greece, Turkey, oh yes. That's our Calcutta viola, which is our most popular one at the moment, which is, $11,000 a slab.
Wow.
This is the replica in porcelain, and the porcelain here, you're looking at $1,600 for the slab.
That's pretty good. I could spend a small fortune on a real marble kitchen benchtop, or I could save a fair chunk of cash by going with the fake option instead. Hasn't it just always been this way? To find out more, I've got to take a trip further back in time, because when I think of marble, one place comes to mind. Rome. It's no secret that the Romans loved marble. They used enormous blocks of it in their temples and palaces, sculpted some of the world's most famous artworks from it, and even cut it into tiny pieces to make elaborate mosaics.
The Roman Republic and then into the Roman Empire changed the way that trade functioned in the Mediterranean. The scale of movement of material from across the Asian continent, from across the African continent, and from Northern Europe all the way down to this epicenter of the central Mediterranean region means that luxury meant distance. If you are able to pull resources to be able to extract stone in particular from quarries far off and around the world, means that all of a sudden public spaces have colours in stone you've never seen before. You have glittery, shiny, beautiful things.
Not everyone back then thought this was a good thing though. In the 1st century CE, Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder wrote about the marble mania that had gripped Roman culture. He described how humanity was carving into nature, reducing mountains to quarry varieties of exotic and expensive stones, and how enormous ships were being built to import and export this cumbersome commodity. He expressed his disdain at the price of such luxuries, and also at the human labour cost in the marble trade. According to Pliny, all this marble was excessive and maybe even immoral. But while emperors and statesmen were cladding their palaces and gardens in exotic stones, just as many Romans, if not more, were decorating their houses in the next best thing: fake marble. These were painted using a technique known as fresco painting, where you paint quickly onto a fresh patch of wet wall plaster, and when the plaster dries, the pigments solidify, forming a really durable surface, which is why some of these paintings have survived for thousands of years. Now, the room I'm in here isn't real Roman marble, and it's not even fake Roman marble, it's fake Roman marble. But you know what? I think it's fitting. This is an exhibition space designed to show you what it might have been like inside a beautiful room painted with faux marble frescoes. It's vibrant, it's decadent, but most importantly, it's not too decadent. Because ultimately, although fake marble was and still is a cheaper alternative to real marble, it also represents a whole range of other things: class, power, and even morality. Not all fake marble from the pre-modern world is realistic though. My next stop is the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge. I've come to see a very strange painting. It's not currently on display, so they've very kindly brought it out of storage for me to take a closer look. There are a few things that are strange about this painting. First thing is the composition. At first glance, it might look like a fairly standard image of the Madonna and Child, but for the late medieval, early Renaissance period, a close-up like this is actually quite rare. The second thing that's strange is this headdress that she's wearing. This green kind of headband under her blue mantle, covering her hair, is far more common in Byzantine icons. And then there's the gold. This halo around the Virgin's head really doesn't fit with a Byzantine style icon either, nor does it even fit with a 14th century style of painting. The thin radial lines coming from the center of the halo are far more common in 15th, 16th century religious painting. These stylistic discrepancies are even further complicated by what's on the back. Do you need to move it to flip it, or just... Thank you. When we look at the reverse of this painting, we're confronted with what might seem like a surprisingly abstract image for the late Middle Ages or the early Renaissance. This incredible fiery fake marble was discovered in 2016 when the painting was cleaned by conservators, and the vibrancy of these colours surprised everyone. This isn't a real marble. Of course it's not real, it's painted, but I mean in the sense that it's not a real type of marble found in nature. You're not going to find red, blue, yellow, green, and pink all together in one kind of stone naturally. So instead, what this artist has done is produce something that is wholly imaginative and yet is still surprisingly committed to creating some sort of illusion. The frame around the outside of this marble is carefully incised to create the illusion of a light source coming from the top right, with shadows on this beveled or fake beveled edge. And despite the kind of wild psychedelic colours, there is still something kind of convincing about the patterning of this fake marble as well. So what could this fiery, watery fake marble mean? And why would you paint it on the back of an icon? I can't ask the medieval artist who made this painting, but I can ask the next best thing.
We have to first of all break the egg and separate the white from the yolk, and then we have to extract the yolk from its membrane so that it's perfectly smooth.
This is not a cooking class. I've come to the studio of artist and art historian Dr. Ursula Betke.
Making paint out of egg has ancient origins. It's probably the best preservative you can use for any form of painting.
Throughout the period we call the Middle Ages, people continued to paint marble everywhere, mostly on walls, but also on icon paintings. These paintings weren't meant to hang on a wall, they were meant to be used and handled, which is why the backs of them are the perfect places to decorate with faux marble.
Now, we don't use the pure egg yolk, it's just too gooey and too oily, so just a few drops of vinegar. The dilution varies, but I've found that a dilution of 1 part egg to 2 parts water creates a good working consistency.
Ursula Betke is an icon painter who paints using the materials and methods that artists of the 14th and 15th centuries used. And if I want to find out how medieval painters imitated marble, well, I think I've come to the right place.
In the atelier's workshop, they would have needed to prepare their own pigments. White that was used was lead white. That was toxic, highly toxic. Probably a lot of artists died from lead poisoning. We use titanium white now, or zinc white. Minerals that have been obtained since the beginnings of painting are either the ochres or the oxides, which are a little bit more concentrated and found deeper in the earth.
In the Middle Ages, you couldn't just pop down to the shops and buy a tube of paint. Pigments had to be harvested from nature. Some natural colours were less common than others, and every colour had its own price tag.
This is a synthetic ultramarine now, which is a quite inexpensive version of the very expensive lapis lazuli, more expensive than gold, we're led to believe at the time. The 14th century, when you're getting all sorts of innovations in colour, adding vinegar to sulphide of mercury, they were able to obtain vermilion, which is very intense and also highly toxic. We've got verdigris, which is produced by putting vinegar on copper, a little bit toxic, yes. I've selected this prototype. It has a limestone white substructure, but it has these beautiful crystalline veins or shapes throughout. I can detect hematite, which is a deep, rich, earthy purple, and I can see some carbon black through here as well. I think that's our core palette. Rid of the excess from the brush because at this stage I don't want to work wet in wet. And I'm just going to sweep in a diagonal fashion so you can see how nicely it flows. The brushes were produced using the feather of a goose or a small bird. Oh, this one's goat hair. Squirrel was popular. Nothing was wasted.
To paint this faux marble, Ursula alternates between painting thin lines of veining and adding translucent washes or glazes over the top.
I'm using some of the thinner lines as a sort of structural form. So I'm just trying to work intuitively, really. I'm pushing back against the brush. It makes a more interesting mark. So you can see it's gone far away from the original prototype, but I'm just trying to be inside the marble, feel that material. And you've got to know when to stop as well. As with all painting, you have to know when to stop.
For the finishing touches, she uses a feather to create irregular, scratchy lines in bright white.
I'm just going to frame it.
Wow,
Is that all right?
it looks amazing.
So it's nothing like it.
I think it is.
But coloristically, it suggests the real pigments in the marble. Now it's over to you, Mary.
So I should start with white. What strikes me about this process was how almost all of the pigments I'm using are minerals, are themselves ground stones. In a way, painting fake marble in the Middle Ages and Renaissance was like making new stone out of old stone. As for my fake marble, I think I did alright.
It's beautiful, Mary. I love it.
I tried to make my faux marble as close to nature as I could, using pigments found in the real minerals from real stones. But as my teacher Ursula showed me, painting fake marble can sometimes take you in unexpected directions. Your stone can turn out looking quite different from the real thing, and for medieval artists, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. The multicoloured faux marble on the back of the icon in the Fitzwilliam Museum shows how artists like to create fantasy marbles, stone that couldn't possibly be found in nature. And just like the beautiful Scagliola walls in Munich that came a few centuries later, what these fake marbles are about is not just recreating nature, but competing with it. And it's a competition that is as old as time itself. So far in this video, I've been hiding something from you. Painters might not have been the first artists to imitate marble. These tiny and precious fragments are made of glass.
So my name's Candice Richards. I'm a curator here at the Chow Chak Wing Museum and I look after the antiquities and archaeological collections. So we've got a range of glass fragments in the collection that are all multicoloured and they cover a whole range of really beautiful blues, greens, purples, whites, yellows. This type of glass is made from around the 1st century BCE and across the 1st century CE is when it's really popular. This could be for vessels, things that you might have in your table, but also for things like mosaic floors and walls and beautiful art to decorate their homes as well as public spaces with.
These types of glass vessels are often called mosaic glasswork because of their colours and patterning, and it's hard not to see the similarities between the natural veining in marble and the ways these glass makers have created swirling, liquid-like designs. And although these specific pieces at the Chow Chak Wing Museum were made around 2,000 years ago in ancient Rome, archaeologists have found similar artefacts from Egypt and Mesopotamia that date back much, much further.
Some scholars have been able to match certain types of glassware to specific stones. Things like green porphyry and red porphyry or purple porphyry are very recognisable. And the way that they're able to match these things is because it's not just that it's a purple stone and it's purple glass, it's the inclusion types of that purple stone, little flecks of whites and greys that is mimicked in the glass that makes us go, these two things do connect together. To make the coloured kind of lenses in the first place, you actually have to crush up a whole range of different mineral types and source those minerals to add to your natural glass. And then by adding the different minerals, you're creating colour. You can actually roll up individual strands of coloured glass, molten glass, fuse them together in fun patterns, and then you chop up the cane and then fuse all the pieces sideways to create a beautiful, larger glass fragment that you can melt and heat and slump over molds. And so the chemistry knowledge for this is much more technical than I think people think that ancient people had access to.
These marble-like glass vessels from the ancient world reveal something important about our centuries-long obsession with imitating stones. Underlying all of these processes is an attempt not just to imitate nature, but to compete with nature in a contest of skill and beauty. Fresco painters grind down minerals into pigments, glass makers melt sands into liquids and play God by creating new forms, just as rocks are created in the earth by volcanic heat and tectonic pressure. But where do our versions of fake marble today fit into this story? Well, it's obvious that we're just as obsessed with marble as we always have been.
Even though I'm not a polished or glossy type. I love this. When you see the real stone of this is another good copy.
It's really good.
Yes.
Real marble is still a status symbol reflecting wealth and taste.
Marble, unfortunately, as beautiful as it is porous, it does scratch. The technology's gotten better. I suppose the print technology is fantastic. They're virtually taking digital images of the real thing, and then they're printed onto a porcelain a bisque, which effectively is a large formatted tile. Non-porous, doesn't scratch. You could put a hot pot straight off the stove onto this.
The story of our centuries-long obsession with fake marble is more than just a tale of cutting costs with an alternative to the real thing. The glassmakers of the ancient world formed molten-like marble patterns from sand, transforming one material into another. For the Romans, fake marble was a site where complex debates about morals and luxury could play out. Medieval painters performed alchemy, transforming natural stones into pigments. And with the invention of the first composite stones, early modern craftsmen proved that their artistry could rival the very powers of nature itself.
You know, when you look at the colours here, this represents the dirt built up in the stone over millions of years underground. So for me, I think this is a fantastic copy of the real thing.
So when you're ordering your new fake marble kitchen benchtops, don't worry that it's not the same as the real thing, because after all, that's kind of the whole point.
This particular one also has induction cooker underneath.
That's crazy.
There you go. Fill that before it gets too hot.
Oh my God. I can imagine like a nightmare Airbnb where you can't figure out where the stove is. But if it's your place, it's a great idea.